This episode of The Edge is brought to you by Audible.com, offering more than 180,000 titles for smartphone, tablet, and desktop. To get a free audiobook of your choice and help Trek.fm at the same time, visit audibletrial.com/trekfm. And also by Enterprise in Space, an international program of the nonprofit National Space Society. Find out how you can help science and education and become a virtual crew member aboard the NSS Enterprise Orbiter by visiting enterpriseinspace.org. And if you want to join the conversation and share your thoughts on this episode, join the Babel Conference, our listeners group on Facebook. Just type BABEL into the Facebook search field. We look forward to seeing you there.
You're listening to Trek FM.
What have you done out there on the edge of Federation space?
Waiting. Loading. Loading.
Hi,
Loaded.
everyone. We're here. We're live. We're live from The Edge. Welcome to Live from The Edge. We're going to talk about Star Trek Discovery. Yes. Hello. Another person who's on the edge and live. Okay, so. Look. Hey. Leave me alone. So anyway, we're going to talk about Star Trek Discovery. We're going to talk about Episode 8 of Season 2, If Memory Serves. I didn't forget the title. That's the title, If Memory Serves. Right, Brandi?
That is correct. That is the title, if memory serves.
And that is Brandi Jackola.
Are you sure you don't want to say it Jackola?
I've decided every week I'm going to pronounce it differently.
That's
Last week I said
me.
Jackola. This week it's Jackola. Next
That's
week
fine.
it's Jackola.
Excellent.
And the week after that it's Dracula.
Excellent. And after that, can it be Bacula?
Yes.
Ooh, Bacula. Nice.
And speaking of, we have Dan Gunther from some show on Trek FM.
Hello.
It's actually in the show
What
notes.
show is that? I don't know. I do that with some goober. I don't know what's his name.
You do so, yeah. I hate that guy. So you're also on YouTube. Not, I don't mean right now. Yes, you are on YouTube, but you have a YouTube channel of your own.
I do. Yep. Kurtratz Productions. It's all about Star Trek. The name's just Star Trek backwards, so it's really easy to remember.
See, now that was a secret for a while too, because you wanted people to guess how you came up with the name.
It was, yeah. And then I did an interview with Garrett Wong, and he just blurted it out, and I didn't edit it out, so it's just out there now.
Of course, Garrett would do that. My gosh, that's why he never got promoted. He was always messing things up. So, and I'm Bruce Gibson, and I'm on a show with Dan called, I don't know, Literary Treks, I think is what it's called. I couldn't even get through like the first few minutes. But I'm also a show called Live from the Edge with Brandi. So it's like a combination of, this is like a crossover.
All of our worlds colliding.
It is.
Now, Dan, you and I need to start a podcast so that we can make it a circle.
Oh, man. And then I think that will like bring all the planets into alignment, and the universe will collapse in on itself, and the prophecy will be fulfilled or something.
No.
Excellent. I've been working towards this for thousands of years, so now I finally got my
Red
opportunity.
Angel.
Oh,
Yep.
me? No.
There it is.
No.
No, you're certainly red. Maybe not an angel.
I'm no angel, guys.
No angel right there. Hey, so just so everybody knows who is listening to this later as a podcast, we do this live Friday nights, the night after a premiere new episode of Star Trek Discovery. We do it Friday nights on YouTube at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. And you just go to the Trek FM YouTube page, and we have a bunch of people in there right now because we have a chat, which we will be referring to throughout this episode, If Memory Serves. That's the name of the title. See, it's not that I'm forgetting things. If Memory Serves me correctly, that's the name of the title. So already this chat group is very active. I see Becky saying, love the Cage music when Burnham was exploring the planet, and the original Cage intro. We might as well get into it. The intro. What was your initial thoughts, Dan, when you saw that intro?
Okay, I immediately, I didn't even see a frame of it before I paused because it popped up previously on Star Trek in the old font, and I just paused. And I turned to the person I was watching it with and said, oh my God, I'm going to love this. Because, it was, and then the actual clips they used, were great. And the fact that they used not even the remastered version, but the original version with the original effects and stuff, I was just like, this is just a nice little gift-wrapped gift to the fans. It was so amazing.
Yeah, I mean, should they have used the remastered? Because this is an HD, right?
I would have liked it either way, but I really appreciated that they used the original effects. I think that was a good choice.
Yeah, it's almost like going back 50 years and then 50 years forward in our timeline. Well, a little more than 50, but you know what I'm saying. Brandi, I assume you liked it too.
I did. I went like this.
See, this is why you have to watch the show, because it's quite an interesting reaction right there.
Yeah, I was grasping my pearls, folks. Grasping my pearls, my mouth hanging open, tears welling up in my eyes. You know, so Discovery maintains its streak of making me cry at every episode of season 2. So
I'm just impressed that you wear pearls when you watch Discovery.
Oh, I don't, honey. It's just the motion. I don't have actual pearls.
All right, honey. We'll let that go. I feel like Steel Magnolias now or something.
Well, my mama is from the South, honey.
I think I just flashed back to designing women or something. So
oh, excellent.
That's great.
I also like the intro too. When it started off, I thought, oh, this is like a little clip thing they're going to do at the beginning of something, like a little present to us, and then it's going to end, and then the episode is going to start. I had no idea that it was going to go right into the episode. It's like, oh wow, this is actually part of the episode. I just thought this was like a little bonus thing at the beginning. And the way the animation worked of clipping out the characters from different scenes and going to the next scenes and having that Star Trek music in the background. I mean, that is so different. We've never had anything like that in Star Trek before on any series.
Mm-hmm. No. Yeah, it was really cool stylistically. And then like how they faded from Jeffrey Hunter's Pike to Anson Mount's.
Yes.
I was just like, I'd recently watched The Cage, so I'm already in awe of the casting of Anson Mount, but that was it just solidified it for me. He's perfect in that role. And, you know, even physical likenesses aside, especially with this episode, he's really connected that character to Jeffrey Hunter's portrayal in The Cage. And it was just amazing.
Yeah, I think so too. And, you know, I was thinking about it today about how it's kind of like an old school beginning going into something new school. And in some ways it's kind of jarring because even the picture was smaller on screen, and then boom, you got the bigger picture with the newer footage in HD. It reminded me of Superman the movie from 1978, where I think it's a little girl is reading an old Superman comic, and it's in black and white and stuff, and then the screen just kind of opens up wider in color, and it's the modern day Superman. It kind of reminded me of that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't think of that when I was watching it, and it didn't even occur to me because I was just so overjoyed at how they were doing this. It didn't even occur to me that it went from a smaller screen size to, you know, widescreen. It didn't matter to me. It was just the way that they melded it together, and then, you know, going from Jeffrey Hunter to Anson Mount, and I'm just like, okay, now I'm like sobbing.
Well, I see NeoStar9 says in the chat, according to the editor of the episode, that was Kurtzman's suggestion as well. So that might make some people a little crazy if they loved it. So Kurtzman, well, congratulations to you, sir, if that was your idea.
It was a great idea. Whoever came up with it, and apparently it was Kurtzman. I mean, bravo. That was excellent.
Absolutely. Credit where credit is due.
Mm-hmm. And I have to say, like, you know, not calling anyone out specifically, but something that I saw on Reddit today and reposted myself because I thought it was really good was somebody said, you know, random YouTube Star Trek news channel. There'll never be any original Star Trek stuff in Discovery because it has to be 25% different because they can't legally do the same thing. CBS is like, hold my beer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. They can do whatever they want. CBS owns it. Come on. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. I love that. Hey, I see NeoStar just Neostar 9 also mentioned Doctor Who did something like this recently. I was just thinking earlier today, didn't Doctor Who do something like this? If I'm reading this correctly, if it's maybe the opening.
Yeah, it was Peter Capaldi's final episode, and they did some jiggery pokery with the first Doctor, etc.
That's right.
So, yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that was cool too. Anyway, okay, so now we get past that opening, and then what happens? Yes, we're on the bridge of the Discovery, and I don't know what happened.
Well, we finally we're so blown away. That's like, what happened? Well, we're getting Captain Pike's personal log, which we haven't had a personal log from him yet.
Oh, we haven't.
And so I really enjoyed hearing him doing the opening narration with his personal log then, because everybody's kind of getting a chance. Let's do a Woshikun next, or Detmer, because we've had Burnham. Tilly, let's have Tilly. Let's have Stamets. Let's spread the love of
or
the
Arium, because I'm really curious what she has to say now. But we'll
not
get to
much
that.
of anything because she's
blinks.
corrupt.
She just blinks lights.
Yeah, but yeah, basically it's he's worried about Burnham, where she is, hoping that she's going to find Spock.
Yes.
And
we see the admirals, the holograms of the admirals, and Georgia
talking to 31
to Giorgio and Leland. And I love that, talking to Section 31, where they're starting talking to Leland, but Giorgio starts outdoing him. And then the one admiral asks a question, the Vulcan admiral, and Leland starts to answer. I didn't ask you, I asked her. I love that part. It's like she really is starting to take over.
Yeah, it really makes me wonder how long Leland's going to put up with that, because there's going to be a breaking point there, I think.
Yeah, but what can he actually do? Because she has stuff on him. A lot of stuff on him.
That's why he needs to get her out of the picture somehow.
Ain't gonna happen. You don't get Giorgio out of the picture.
No, I mean, somebody who's an emperor of a whole empire. I mean, like, that's something really tough to go up against. I'm sure Leland's like, I'm so ticked off. She's starting to take control. I want my own series. I want my own Section 1 series. I want to be the star. Sorry, Leland, you can't have it. I'm sorry. Hey, Shashank says Wizard of Oz, going from black and white to color. That's a more perfect example than the Superman movie. That's actually perfect. Yes, exactly. Oh my gosh. What else is going on? Tyler and Burnham and their relationship. I like how Pike is like, so what was anything going on there?
Yeah.
He's pretty perceptive, that guy.
He is. He's very romantic.
He has been suspecting for some time, and now he's just finally like, okay, let's just level with each other, please. And him being concerned, he has a right to be concerned that Tyler's feelings for Michael, which he claims, he didn't ever say that he had really moved on,
Yeah.
So he said that she had moved on.
That's true. That's true. He hasn't gotten over her yet.
Oh, I really don't think so. No. And I don't know that she is completely over him either, to be fair.
I think you're right. I think there's still something there. It's just a strange situation. And right now she can't deal with that. She's trying to find Spock and deal with all these other things and dealing with red things. She's not dealing with red heart things right now.
No.
No. Okay.
But, yeah.
Chills. I'm going to tell you, I had chills. Burnham in the shuttlecraft when the computer starts describing Talos 4 about the history. That was like, oh my gosh, we're almost there.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. So the computer does say that it's forbidden space. Yep. We don't get an outright mention of General Order 7 and if the death penalty is in effect.
Yeah, I was waiting
and
for that.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they'll just gloss over that because it kind of doesn't really fit in with Starfleet that we know and love now, or if it's not yet instituted, or what's going on there.
I think it will be instituted at some point, and it's Section 31 that institutes that.
It was kind of my thinking as well. Or something to do with Section 31 anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this could be the situation that is the catalyst for that death penalty thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly. I honestly think that's what's going to happen. For sure. I really do. I really, really do. Hat Productions. Thank you. Hat Production says, I noticed that the admirals were from each of the founding members of the Federation. Why didn't I pick that up?
I did notice that
I
too. That was really cool.
I did.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, because I'm like, okay, we've got an Andorian, we've got a Vulcan, we've got a human, we've got a Tellarite. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yep.
I remember noticing that, but I just didn't put two and two together and think, oh yeah, the founding. That is so awesome. See, they do know Star Trek. I don't care what people say. Oh, these writers, they don't know Star Trek. Bull crap. I'm calling
Here. Also, the other thing I noticed was they were talking again about control. And I think someone brought it up in the chat as well. They kind of call out control as being an artificial intelligence because Giorgio says something in my universe. I'm used to giving orders to AIs, not taking them. So can we go out on a limb and say, somebody's got David Mack's Section 31 control novel in mind here? Maybe.
You know what, David? Well, people have kind of said online, no, David Mack said it's not. David Mack said, I don't remember exactly what he said, but he didn't necessarily call out and say, no, they're not using my novel, or I don't know what it was, but it was cryptic enough where I came back and tweeted back to him saying, basically, I don't believe it. Like, I believe it's the AI, or I didn't say in that way.
Yeah.
But I totally 100%.
Especially after this one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I'm just going to say that, these writers know the novel writers in some respect. That's all I'm going to say.
The writers are novel writers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Kirsten Byer's on the staff. So she's got to be chiming in from time to time about that stuff.
Maybe.
I would if I were her.
She knows continuity.
Mm-hmm.
She is really good at the continuity.
And they don't have to use the novel continuity for this.
No.
But I can see it being recommended.
And they've outright said, I remember them saying somewhere that Kirsten Byer is kind of like the goddess of the continuity. Like she kind of has that figured out and lets them know when they're straying and that kind of thing. So,
and
she's gotten in there.
And I know she'll reach out to friends and say, what do you think? So there you go. That's control and AI. What else does the chat think of that? I mean, I'm sure not the whole chat and everybody listening isn't familiar with the novel. I mean, some people are and some people aren't. But if you're not familiar with the novel, go to Memory Beta or read the summary or whatever of Section 31 Control. And that came out almost, was it a year ago or was that 2 years ago?
A couple years ago now, I think.
Gosh, it doesn't feel that long ago. But I think you're right. I think it may have been 2 years ago. Becky says that she thinks the death penalty is already there for Talos. Why didn't Leland go back and read about Pike's experience on Talos? That's true.
This is a guy that apparently doesn't do his homework because he missed that, and he also did something to the wrong ambassador on Deneva at some point. I think he doesn't do his pre-mission homework a lot.
I think he thinks he knows it all, and people like that rarely know as much as they think they do.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
That's how I am, for sure.
Yeah. Yes, I know, Bruce. I know.
I know it all.
Yes, you do.
Hey.
What?
That black hole was pretty cool, too, by the way.
It really was.
And I don't say that every day.
That's true. Only on special occasions, like this episode.
Did you know when you saw the black hole that it wasn't real? I mean,
absolutely.
Yes. Okay, I did too. Yeah.
Took me about half a second, and I was like, "This is an illusion."
Right. And especially how Spock reacts to it, where he just pushes her. He doesn't say like, hold on, I know what's going on. Let me take it. He just pushes her out of the way. It's just like they're going to fight it out. And finally,
he's still a little loopy at that point too. He's not exactly coherent yet.
Yeah.
No, he knows what he needs to do, and he's not to the point of stability where he can vocalize and communicate that way. So he just does what has to be done.
Imagine that scene if instead of Burnham sitting there, it was McCoy.
Oh, there would have been some trouble up in there.
Mm-hmm.
What is wrong with you, man?
You green-blooded Vulcan. Yeah.
Actually, that would have been a good episode of the original series that McCoy takes Spock back to Talos for. Just saying.
That's...
Could be interesting.
I had to think about that.
Think about that one for a while.
I gotta point out Automated Joy's comment just because I love a good pun. They say that was an awesome black foal. That's great.
Yes.
We have to get the Akutas to put that in the Star Trek Encyclopedia.
Yes.
Hat
Yes.
Production says, where is Bones at this point in time?
We don't know.
He's probably going through his divorce, maybe.
Could well be. We know he's not on Enterprise yet.
There's some debate. Is Spock autistic? It's dyslexia.
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 It's kind of like a dyslexia. Yeah. It's analogous to dyslexia.
Yeah, his brain is in trauma because he is experiencing time fluidly instead of in a linear fashion.
That is so
and
good.
that is messing him up because nothing is helping. Logic cannot help him with this.
Mm.
You must have learned that on this episode from the Telosians.
I totally did. They said it.
What'd you think of the Telosians in this compared to the original, The Cage?
They were less scary.
I would go with that. Yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were less scary, and I think that's because this time they really were there to help. So I think that, and it's still unclear if they were actually in communication with Spock, because Burnham does ask him that, and nobody responds.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that's a yes. You know, if you don't deny it, then that's a yes.
Yeah, maybe. When they did land, though, I noticed Vina was totally not familiar with the fact that Spock was kind of messed up. So I was just kind of wondering if Spock just knew that they would be able to help him and didn't necessarily communicate with them. He could have, and they just didn't tell Vina, I guess, too. But yeah, I don't know.
I assumed he didn't communicate with them. I don't know.
Well, I don't know.
I don't know either.
There's no way to know because they neither confirmed nor denied.
I don't know. What does the chat say about that? Hey, and also Vina. Did you think we would see Vina in this episode? Because we didn't see her in any previews.
I did. Mm-hmm. I thought we would see her. And you can't go back to Talos 4 and not show Vina. That would just be... No, especially with Pike on Discovery. You have to show Vina.
Yeah.
I'm really impressed that they kept that secret. There was no casting information or behind the scenes photos or anything. They really kept a tight lid on that. And I thought that was great because I assumed we'd see Vina, but I didn't know for sure. So it was still a nice little thrill when she appeared. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I'm with you because usually, they did show us the Telosians in the preview for this episode. And so as the episode's playing and Burnham's landing on the planet, I thought, will we see Vina? They didn't show her. Not that they needed to, but I thought we would, the way the episode was playing out. And as Burnham is walking around the planet, I'm like, will Vina just appear? Which she later did. But I love even the little flowers singing. The little.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was most wondering. I was like, are we going to see those blue singing plants? And also I was wondering if the back of the Telosians' heads would still look like butts. And they unfortunately don't.
Did we see the back of their heads?
I don't think we really did much.
I thought they didn't show it, but somebody had a still and it shows them from behind just very briefly, and no butt heads, unfortunately.
But there were some Beavises.
These are the questions that Trekkies need to know the answers to.
Beavis was there, but no butthead. Right?
No butthead.
No butthead.
That's so funny. I was a little disappointed. Not greatly, but what they're wearing looked a little more like, hey, we're getting more hip we're wearing more like kind of like leather suits now. I kind of like the robes in the original one. It was more simple. I like almost like monks to me, where this looked more like they're trying to be too cool.
You gotta let Gersha Phillips do her thing, though. I mean, she loves designing those costumes. And, like, in my head, I'm like, what we see of the Telosians, we don't even really know if what we're seeing is what's real. They can project illusions. So they're just like, this is what the galaxy's wearing these days, Just gotta update it a bit.
I didn't even have any... What's the word I'm looking for here? I didn't really notice the outfits of the Telosians. They were relatively the same color, but a little less sparkly. Yeah. So it was just kind of like, hey, it's Telosians. Yeah. And that was pretty much the end of it as far as what they were wearing.
Well, I have to confess, the reason I noticed it was more before the show when I was looking at the stills online of the pictures. That's when I noticed it wasn't as so much while I was watching the episode. But several people here in the chat have noticed Vena's redesigned shoes. I paid no attention to the shoes.
I was wondering about that because I didn't notice that either.
What is that?
I did, and the only reason that I did was I watched the legs walk in, and I'm just like, oh, for heaven's sake, those shoes cannot be comfortable. Why would anyone choose to wear those? That's my thought on the shoes, because I am a woman and I hate high heels.
I'm not a woman and I hate high heels because not that I don't wear them. Right. Look, I just think they look painful. Like I see women wearing them and I'm always like, why are you doing that? That looks like you're probably in pain. Like my daughters will like go to church and they'll try to wear like nice heels and they're like, we're walking through the parking lot and they stumble a little. I'm like, why are you even bothering with that?
Yeah. No, I've always thought the same thing. They look really uncomfortable. And I guess, it's definitely a valid point when it comes to the actor. They slapped her in high heels and that kind of sucks. But I guess in universe, she can kind of appear wearing whatever she wants to wear, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
And like William Cooper says, illusion shoes. They're not real.
Exactly.
They actually, and see, that's the thing. If they can make her look like she wants to look, they could make comfortable high heels. Illusory, comfortable high heels.
Well, yeah, we are talking about the 23rd century, so maybe high heels is a little different there.
It may be, but they still looked like really painful.
I have to admit, usually when we do these shows, I know what we're going to end up talking about. I had no idea we were going to talk about heels in this episode.
Oh, I did.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I missed that. You didn't notice what the Telosians are wearing, but honey, you notice what shoes she's wearing. Mm-hmm.
Not because I'm into shoes, but because I'm not into women torturing themselves in high heels.
I gotta say, she did an excellent job in the role of Vena, too. Like, there were a couple times where just like the timbre of her voice, it just like really flashed me back to some scene from The Cage. And then I noticed especially when she revealed how the Telosians found her and she went back to her, disfigured form, that voice there, like she nailed that. She was practicing that really hard, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right for sure on that. She did have that right. That voice, it wasn't exact, but it kept that that tempo, that kind of, very good. It's like Anakin and Darth Vader. They had the same. Anyway, that's a whole nother show. Oh, wow. So I like her line. She says about Captain Pike. She says, in some ways, Captain Pike never left.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? I think because
they gave her a pike.
Yes. She says that later. Right. But at that point they didn't mention that, so I kept thinking it's like the Nexus. Is he an Echo?
No,
I just recently watched The Cage. I was like, oh yeah, she's got a copy of him. She's got the Pike action figure.
Yeah, because that's exactly what happens at the end of The Cage. And he says, you'll give her back her illusion of beauty. And they say, yes, and more. And it shows her with Pike going back into the elevator to go back underground.
And then they reuse that footage in the menagerie when he actually does return to Talos 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they recontextualize it.
Yeah, which makes them saying and more, and then you don't see anything else happening. That makes that moment awkward because of the way they re-edited it for the menagerie. It just doesn't make sense. So they're like, yes, you'll give her back her illusion of beauty and more. And they're just her being beautiful again. And I'm like, but what's the and more?
Yes. Yeah, what is the and more?
Yeah, it didn't make sense the way that it was edited. They did what they could with what they had.
They were playing the long game. They were like, in 13 years, he'll come back. It'll be great.
And you'll briefly see him on the Discovery. You'll get to say hi.
Yep.
That's more. That's some more, you know.
And actually, they were playing the really long game because 53 or whatever years later, we learned that canonically she did have an extra Pike there as well because she tells Pike that. So
yes,
they were just playing the really, really long game.
You know, she could have more than one Pike. I mean, this is all illusions.
Oh man, she could have her Tuesday Pike.
She's like, I have a Pike in the original uniform. I have a Pike in the Discovery uniform. I have Pike in the new Enterprise uniform. It's like Barbie dolls.
The Pike I just recently saw looks a little different. I think I want Pike to be played by Anson Mount this week.
I want the Kelvin Universe Pike to, like, she's got all kinds of Pikes.
Pikes for days.
She has a Pike in high heels just for a little fun. Anyway. I don't know
Pike
what
in high heels. I did not think we'd be discussing that.
Pike hikes spike shoes. So, Brandi, why are you so quiet right now?
Because
don't blame her.
Vina didn't work for me. Sorry.
Oh, Vina did not work for you.
Did not.
Why is
did
that?
Not. I can't put my finger on it, but yes, there was a sadness to her, but at no time did I ever believe that she was Vina. And I can't exactly explain why. And I thought, maybe that was just my first reaction, but when I watched the episode a second time, I was just like, okay, now focus and really pay attention, and I still didn't like her. I'm sorry. It's just the way I feel. And maybe when I let it sit for a while, I can break it down and with more critical thinking, explain why it didn't work for me. I have nothing against the actress, but it was just not Vina for me.
And I think that's fair enough, because at the very beginning, when we first saw her, I was kind of skeptical, and she kind of grew into it for me. So I can see how it could have gone the other way. For me, it was kind of cemented in the scene where she appears to Pike. And, I think both actors really sold that scene to me. So that's where I was like, okay, I can totally 100% accept this, but I can totally see how it would have gone the other way as well. So yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah. I think they were on point with Pike.
Absolutely. No, his reactions to Vina were right on the money, but I just I just can't, I believed his performance, but there was just something that I can't figure out yet that I just couldn't.
Do you think she was
I couldn't get to hers
too soft? Maybe
that is part of it. I think she didn't, I don't know. I didn't feel the passion.
Yes.
I didn't feel the connection. I didn't feel the passion that she exuded in the cage.
Okay.
And, and I'm not, Susan Oliver to me was just amazing in that role, and we lost her way too soon. She actually stopped acting, before her death, but I mean, she was a pilot. She did all of these other things with her life that nobody ever really knew about. But, that portrayal has been with me for all my life. And though I have welcomed other performers taking over well-known roles, this one just didn't feel right for me. And I'm glad that she resonated with so many other people, but it just, for me.
Yeah.
I just couldn't. And it's not like I only ever saw Susan Oliver in The Cage. I actually also saw her on one of my favorite Twilight Zone episodes, which is People Are Alike All Over, which is actually based on a short story and had one of my other favorite actors of all time in it, Roddy McDowall. And, she was marvelous in that as well. It was a very different role.
Yeah. I saw her recently in an old episode. Well, of course it's old. The Andy Griffith Show. She was in that. And it was like an episode that took place probably about a year before she would have done the Star Trek thing.
Yeah. So anyway. So I'm glad you guys like her. I don't have anything against the actress. That's not it. It just didn't work for me.
Well, I didn't watch this episode thinking, wow, I love the actress who played Vina. It wasn't that I had a problem with her either. It was like, I liked her, but I loved Ethan Peck as Spock.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Before we get to that really quickly, Ria Papa Giorgio in the comments absolutely agrees with you, Brandi, and they need somebody to share their pain. So you have someone absolutely agreeing with you.
I need my pain.
About Vina in this episode.
I need my pain, and Ria and I will share our pain and wallow in it and come through it stronger than before.
There you go. Thank you, Ria.
Absolutely.
For your support.
But Ethan Peck.
But
yes.
I wonder I want to know what Ria thinks of Ethan Peck, though, as Spock, before we go any further than this. No, what do you guys think? Ethan Peck, yes?
Oh.
Okay.
Brandi, I know you're a definite yes.
Yes. Well, okay. So I grew up with the original series, of course, because I was born in 1973. Surprise! I'm old. And Spock was immediately my favorite character in the series, which is so strange because I am an extremely emotional person. And so you would think I'd be more of a McCoy fan. And though I do identify with McCoy a lot of the time and have a lot of extreme emotional reactions like he does, Spock was always my dude. And so when they had announced Ethan Peck and I got my first look at him, I thought, all right, let's see what you got, buddy. And there was just a kind of, how do I explain this in words? There was a reverence for the character that I can't explain it any other way. He just nailed it on every possible level. The voice, the facial expressions, the way he moves, the way he stands, the way he says certain words. Just everything was just, this is Spock. There was no doubt in my mind whatsoever once he got his faculties back that this was Spock. Yes, I cried a little. Okay, I cried a lot.
Wow. Dan, I know you like him.
I did really like Ethan Peck as Spock. And yeah, it was about how he carried himself, the timbre of his voice, all of that sort of stuff just came together. And there's one moment, and I can't even pinpoint exactly where in the episode it is, but he's not even saying something, but he's just standing ramrod straight and he's just kind of looking down at Burnham slightly.
Yes.
And is just like, that's Spock. Like, even with the beard and even the physical differences and stuff, I was like, he's just broadcasting Spock. And I said this to you guys before we started. I really like Zachary Quinto as Spock. I think he's great, but Ethan Peck surpassed Zachary Quinto for me as Spock. No one will touch Leonard Nimoy. He originated the character. It's just, he is Spock. But Ethan Peck comes pretty darn close, and I was really impressed.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And I don't know how to say the name. TKHUI9 agrees with you. Yeah, I Zachary Quinto, again, like you, I enjoy his portrayal. I just think that Ethan Peck physically and in his voice, everything, works more as Spock to me than Zachary Quinto. I know a lot of people would say, oh, Zachary Quinto looks so much like Spock, but I never really saw that as well. It's almost maybe like Zachary Quinto may look more like Spock than maybe Ethan Peck. I don't know, but Ethan Peck seems more like Spock to me than Zachary Quinto. But I shouldn't be comparing anyway, because what Zachary Quinto is portraying as Spock is a little different, because Spock is going down a different road and different journey. It's a more emotional situation he's dealing with, where Ethan Peck's Spock is also dealing with an emotional situation, but yet different, and really trying to balance the logic, and things are going crazy in his head. But that stance that you're talking about, as he's standing there, I thought, I really want to shave him and give him a bowl cut and put on a blue shirt and see what this would look like right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
I didn't know you were going with that at first, but yeah.
To be fair, he's already got the bowl cut. It's just a little shaggy right now.
Right. It's like great clips. He needs a quick visit and get a little clip done.
I'm sure they have a barber on Discovery.
And I have a coupon if he needs it.
Perfect.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's Spock is very emotional for me. I mean, it's a love that I've carried my whole life, and so seeing it done so well is just
So how do you feel about him having to deal with his wound with Burnham, exposing that?
I really actually, he thinks that he was responding in a logical way, but he responded in an emotional way and disguised it as logic. But he wanted to hurt her back, and he did. He did with what he said.
Definitely. And it's one of those responses. I think you see this in real life all the time, even when two people are wanting to reconnect. And in this case, I don't think Spock wants to. Maybe deep down he does, but right now he wants to hurt Burnham. And he is calculatingly saying exactly what's needed to twist that knife a little bit, whether he would admit that logically or not. That's what he's doing. And he, on some level, knows that's what he's doing. And it's really painful to see. And I do like that, you know, we get the kind of what happened and what tore them apart. And it's not immediately like, oh, okay, everything's forgiven, we're back together now. This is something that is continuing forward, and I'm really glad for that. I think they're really going to explore this. And yeah, I think it's good.
Yeah, it's he actually reacted exactly as I thought he would, especially after seeing the memory, which was a brilliant piece of editing. Again, I'm loving
switching between the actors, the young, the old. Yeah.
Seamless. Yes. Absolutely seamless. Beautifully done. And I thought he was destroyed. He is absolutely not over this, and there is no forgiveness coming. And in fact, one of the first things he says is, "I'm not here to absolve you, Michael Burnham." And I'm just like, wow, okay, that's where we're going with this.
Yeah, I wrote down one of his lines saying about he was foolish. He says, "I was foolish to idolize you. I regret it." I mean, just like that whole scene and those lines, just, you know, how logic failed him. It's very intense.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And the actual like event that drove them apart. I'm going to admit this. You know, I've cried at Star Trek episodes before. The Visitor and Hard Time in Deep Space Nine. I cried at this, and I was not expecting it. It was like a backhand to the face. Yeah. And even though I saw it coming and I knew what they were going to do, I just like, wow, did that ever hit me harder than I was expecting it to?
Look at his face right now. I'm getting emotional right now just thinking about it, because the look on her face when she calls him a weird little half-breed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And how much it hurts her to say it. And it's just, I felt that pain, and I felt his pain, and it was just like, I was doing this. Sorry, guys. Mm-hmm. You knew what you were in for. You all knew what you were in for. Don't be surprised.
No, absolutely. No, and you know, I've seen online some people saying that they didn't think it was, you know, for all the build up to it, that it was big enough, that was all it was. And they're like, oh, they're just kids. Kids say that to each other all the time. But like, this is Spock. He's told by his classmates and his father, whether he outright says it or not, he gets from his father that he's not a good enough Vulcan. He can't be a good enough Vulcan. And now he's heard from his only friend that he can't be a good enough human. So, like, what's left for this little kid? Like, that destroyed him. And I just was like, oh, man. And like you said, the fact that Burnham, it hurts her so much to say it. The look on her face, like you said, it destroyed me.
I think that's a great way of describing that for sure. You have to really understand Spock and what he's been through to understand why something like that would have such a big effect on his life in a negative way. And it really is starting to peel back layers of Spock that after more than 50 years that we have never seen. It's incredible writing and acting and directing and so forth that you can take a character that has been portrayed in all these shows, all these episodes and movies and novels and comics and all these things for all these years and bring a whole new level to him that still works with the Spock we know and will forever change the way we see Spock as a character.
Well, imagine, and someone else brought this up on Twitter, and forgive me, I don't remember who it was, but now let's think about all of the insults that McCoy has thrown at Spock over the years, and anytime he's called him a half-breed, and how that must have felt. So.
The way you watch that now is going to hurt even more. Because that always bothered me, that McCoy says that.
Yeah, it was racial slurs, guys.
Right.
It was not cool.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's not funny. I mean, on the surface, you think it's funny because you're not really maybe thinking that it's insulting, it's a racial slur, but it is. And why is that acceptable? Why is that okay? Mm-hmm. I never understood. I mean, I guess I understood because, like I said, I think if you don't really think about it that hard, you just think it's kind of funny, but it's not. And now, after this episode, and as we go forward with Discovery, it certainly isn't funny.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, I never found it funny anyway because, again, Spock was my dude. So I was just always like, McCoy, don't you start, because I know what bullying is. And that was bullying. Mm-hmm. It was bullying.
Yeah.
Not okay.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out with Spock. Maybe we'll see that differently as the season progresses and then look at that relationship with McCoy. Maybe it's not as sensitive to Spock at that point because he comes to terms with it. But still, it's not acceptable for him to call him that. Shame on you, McCoy. Mm-hmm. Leonard. Oh, wow.
Sure. So I'm seeing people ask in the comments about why the Telosians needed to see that memory.
Yes.
And I was wondering if you guys had any insight on that, because I have kind of what I got from the episode was that they're starved for entertainment and they needed that memory for entertainment. Like that's their Netflix. I don't know if that's all it was, though. No,
that's not. I don't think that's how it is at all. I think that Spock needed Burnham because he needed someone that was, part of his timeline of his life. And I think that they wanted to see, it was payment for services rendered, for one thing. That was the exchange. And they chose a painful memory because for all of their power, they don't experience things the same way that humans do or Vulcans do or any other race does. And so they need to experience the painful moments are the most definitive. Let's be fair. The great times in your life, yes, you will remember fondly, but you will remember your painful moments more and how they changed you. And hopefully it's something that changed you for the better. But I think that is something that they were curious about. And so that's why they chose that memory. They wanted to experience what that pain was like, how a seemingly well-adjusted human could hurt someone purposely so deeply that they never get over it or haven't yet gotten over it. They need the experience because honestly, nobody gets to go there anymore, guys. It's forbidden space. So what else are they going to do? How else are they going to learn? How else are they going to grow? they have to experience other things that they can't just experience for themselves.
And if you're looking at Spock as their patient, for example, and they're trying to help him, they see that there's something in the forefront, because with Michael being there with Spock, maybe that memory, that wound is very blatant. It's very upfront because she's there. And so it's on his mind. And I rewatched that scene, and they ask her, hey, we'll help Spock, but then you've got to share this experience that affected him. And she's basically like, why? And they make a statement. It is to help them to understand him, and that this event somehow disengaged him from logic. So I don't know if it's so much that they wanted it for entertainment, because the first time I watched it, I kind of thought maybe that too. Like, that's kind of weird. Like, is this just like their thing to get off and watching or something? Like you said, Netflix or, but I think it really is to try to help to understand Spock. Although that wasn't exposed to them, Michael didn't share that memory with them until after they helped Spock. So I don't know if they necessarily needed that or not.
No,
it was just for their own understanding.
Yeah, but that's the thing. If they hadn't, because Vina actually says to Michael, basically, it's time to pay up. And if she hadn't willingly let them have that memory, they would have taken it from her, and it would have been painful. And Venus says that. That
was a chilling line, by the way. And because we've seen the cage, how she was, beaten down by the Telosians till she says they own me, and that line, that was chilling, I thought.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. The way she says it is very chilling as well. Just with this, again, she did exude a lot of sadness, but in that moment, it was probably, in my opinion, her best moment for me was the way she said that line, and the expression on her face and her body language when she said that line just obviously communicated to us and to Michael, do not mess with these guys. They will hurt you if they have to.
Yes. Before we move on, and Becky, I hear you. I have it here in my notes too. I've been watching the clock. We do want to talk about the other characters, but before we leave Spock and Vina, and the Telosians, is there anything else that you guys want to talk about real quick?
Enterprise reference, the Forge.
Oh, Vulcan's Forge. Yeah, she when she was little, ran to Vulcan's Forge.
I wasn't aware there were forests in the Forge. The only forge I ever saw was just one great big rocky desert.
I didn't know there was those big monsters that come out of the ground like in Star Trek 09.
Yeah, big scorpion thing or whatever that was. Ooh.
Yes. Nasty.
But that's it. I just wanted to say Enterprise reference.
So, let's talk about other characters. Stamets and Culber. That's an interesting dynamic going on there. I knew Culber wasn't just going to come back and be his normal self again. He's dealing with the same thing Spock is and trying to figure out where he lands. And I like the line that he even says to Ash Tyler when they were fighting. He says, I don't even know who I am anymore. And Tyler says, who do you think you're talking to? Like, they're both in that same boat.
Yeah, see, that's exactly what I thought. They are two sides of the same coin, because both of them have lost who they were, and now they're trying to figure out their place as they are now. And that is a hard thing to go through. I have been through that. It is not fun. I do not recommend it. It's horrible. It's a horrible feeling. And I understand Hugh's anger. I really, really honestly do understand his anger. And of course, my first thought is, dude needs therapy.
Yeah, we need a ship's counselor stat.
Yeah, dude needs
Even
therapy.
just bring back Admiral Cornwell because she knows her stuff.
Let's get a Huani in there, huh?
There you go. Oh, deep cut reference.
I know, right? Let's get an on-screen Huani. I want to see it. So, yeah.
No one knows what you're talking about unless they listen to Literary Treks. 262 coming out
Everybody
soon.
Take a drink.
But yeah, I appreciate it actually pretty much went how I thought it was going to. That he's now in this new body, he's alive again, and he does not know who he is now. He was dead. And yes, he has his memories, but it feels to him like there's memories of somebody else, as how I interpreted that. And that he cannot connect to those memories. He has the memories, but he can't connect to them. And he says that. He can't connect to the feelings. He can't connect to, sensory perception.
That's right. Right.
So just watching him struggle, I feel his pain, and Stamets's pain too, because he really just wants to help, and he doesn't know how, because Hugh doesn't know how to help himself. And he's trying
to go back to normal.
Yeah. And that is probably what any of us would do in his place. Absolutely any of us.
Well, because you would think if you try to put Culber in a situation where things are normal and this is how things were, that he would ease back into and start to feel comfortable again. But if anything, it's having the opposite effect on him.
Yeah, it's just making him angrier.
Because he's noticing he's not feeling it. It's like he should and he's not. And it's just making him more angry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
And poor Paul is just, he even says, "Why are you so angry at me?" And he says, Paul, that's a really good question. And he storms out. And I sensed this pulling apart coming. I honestly feel like this is not the end of the situation. That, I think Stamets can actually accept moving forward with a different Culber if it actually comes around to that. Cause it would break my heart to see them separate for real, for permanently. It would break my heart, but I can understand why it might happen that way. So, and I actually really did enjoy, I'm not promoting violence, but I did enjoy the first place that Culber thinks to go is, I'm going to go beat the crap out of Ash Tyler.
Yeah.
He's the one who did this to me. It's his fault that I'm in this situation.
And Saru's like, let them fight.
Yeah. Just like Godzilla. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, sorry. I'm mixing up sci-fi and stuff. But I feel like that Saru's decision to let them fight was the absolute right one, because I think Tyler was holding back. I think Tyler could have decimated Hugh if he wanted to. But I think he knew exactly what Hugh was doing. And though he defended himself and got a few hits, and he didn't, he did kind of chokeslam him onto a table, but he didn't chokeslam him through the table. So again, I think
that's Klingon restraint.
Yeah, I think he was just, he was defending and doing his best to diffuse the situation. And I think he knew how Culber felt, and so he was going to let it play out.
I don't know if either of you follow Wilson Cruz on Instagram.
Oh, I so do.
But I don't think that's a guy you want to fight.
No, that dude is ripped.
That guy ripped.
He is buff. He's just,
Man.
Yeah. I mean, just even in his face, the muscles in his face, you can see it.
Yeah.
Chris Littlefield says the fight scene was hot, and I can appreciate how someone would see it.
Yeah,
that
if you're fighting
Absolutely.
in long sleeves, it would be hot. I know.
Shashank likes my Undertaker reference. Thanks, Shashank. Choke slam. Well, it is very much a wrestling move. So.
I just have to say real quick, and this is not real significant, but the one scene in this whole episode that bothered me is when Stamets and Culber are walking to the quarters, and Stamets says, "Well, here's home," and he walks in, and you hear the door close. Shh. And Culber's just standing out in the hallway looking at Tyler. I'm thinking, is Stamets just turn around and go, "Oh, he didn't come in. Oh, well, I'll just sit down and wait." Like, I thought he would immediately come right back and go, "What are you doing? Where are you going? Like, why didn't you come in?" That just bothered me. Both times I watched the episode twice. Both times that bothered me. That's my only issue with this episode, that one little piece.
Shoot, I didn't really notice that, but I'm sure on rewatch I will now.
Yes, it's because the door knew that he wasn't moving, and so it decided, oh, you're not coming in right now, I'll just close. Oh, you're ready now? I'll open again.
Yeah, because doors can read your mind.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it can,
or at least the script.
It's got a sensor in it. I'm sure that's how these doors open automatically when you're near them.
Is that what happens when I go to the store?
Yeah. Okay. So it's like if you're close but not close enough and not moving towards the door, it's not going to stay open.
Yes, but your loved one that just walked in there should have turned around and wondered why you didn't come in.
Well, maybe he did and we just didn't see that, okay?
I really liked just kind of talking about other characters associated with this story. I liked Pike calling out Saru, saying like, I don't know that you would have made that decision pre-Vaharai. Like,
yes.
this is definitely a change. And Saru's like, yeah, probably.
Okay.
His whole attitude in that scene, Saru, is great.
My favorite line in this episode, funny line, I didn't even get to write it down, but it's a long line where Saru is talking about how you handle, like, there's no regulation on how you handle someone who just, you know what I'm saying?
Has a Klingon grafted onto his bones,
right.
And a medical officer who's returned from the dead.
And the way he delivers that.
It's so great. I love
medical
Caddy
officer who's
Saru.
returned from the dead.
That's it.
Caddy Saru returns, and I love it.
Oh, that was so great.
I love that. I just want to go back and rewatch that one part right now. That was so good.
Yes, and just to quickly answer Shashank's question, yes, that was Sarah Middich as Lieutenant Nilsson in the Spore Drive room.
Yes.
So that was the
Glad
former
to see
Arian.
her back.
Yes, it was
I
nice.
thought she was just going to be in Brother, so happy that she was in this one.
And she had lines. Lines, so yay.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, we've hit the hour mark, but I mean, I'm telling you, we could probably go another hour, but we're
least.
not. I mean, there's just
I could
so
spend
much.
an hour on Ethan Peck alone. But I will say this because, and I was talking about this with Rhea earlier. Again, Anson Mount as Pike, he has more expression in his face and eyes than most actors I've ever seen. He can absolutely show you exactly what he's thinking. Like when he sees Vina's reflection in the console, just, you know exactly what he's thinking. It's just, he's amazing to watch. Oh my word. Just, again, I just love everything he does, but especially this episode, there was so much going on for him. Even though he didn't have a ton of screen time, he's still, every bit he had just was gripping, as per usual.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So William Cooper says, looking forward to more Arium character development, which, if you saw a preview, I don't know, Dan, did you see a preview of next week's episode?
I did, yes. Okay. I managed to see one somehow.
Yeah, because I mean, I have verified by hearing from several people that, it's only CBS that shows a preview of next week. Crave, Space, Netflix, no, they don't. And you can tell it's edited by CBS because it's branded CBS All Access at the end of the preview. So I guess that's why. But of course, you can find this stuff online. So anyway.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say we've got Tyler confined to quarters for something obviously he didn't do.
Oh, yeah. Did anyone actually
pretty sure
think...
Arium did that.
Yeah, when the whole transmission thing came up at first, did anyone actually think it was Ash? No. No, we didn't. No. We all thought Arium. Every single one of us thought Arium.
Yeah.
And, it's just... I'm surprised that it's going to... progress as quickly as it has, surprised in a good way, because I really don't want that situation to drag out through the rest of the season. Like, please don't soap opera that. Please don't. So I'm appreciating getting things moving.
I'm going to ask the chat group real quick. I mean, we're at our limit, but we can go over just a little bit. Is there anything significant that you really want us to briefly talk about real quick that we haven't discussed on here? Because I know there's some things that we haven't talked about. We really haven't talked about the Angel and Spock mind melding with the Angel and the Angel appearing to him the first time when he was a kid and then later and seeing the destruction of all the different planets. That was really powerful too.
Mm-hmm.
It was, and there's one thing that Spock says. First of all, there is one point where he refers to the Red Angel as a she, but then the rest of the time he refers to the Red Angel as it. But he also says, at the very end of the episode, the destruction of all sentient life in the universe. Maybe not. Maybe it's just the destruction of all sentient biological life in the universe. Because it seems to me these probes, as they appeared, were, going out and purposely destroying planets with biological life forms.
Yeah, and it's being mentioned in the chat, too, that he did mention this is a she. This is a female human.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And a human. Yeah, definitely a human, which is interesting.
Yeah, so that narrows it down.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
I like Neostar 9 saying Spock needs to stop melding with unknown people and things. I mean, honestly, Spock does just seem like a sailor on shore leave sometimes. He's like, I'm going to mind meld with this.
Hey, dude, if he had not mind melded with the Horta, that would have ended horribly for multiple people and the Horta.
Mm-hmm.
So see?
V'ger. We've got V'ger on there as well.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah.
Just doing his job.
Some random whales just go swimming.
They are not the hell your whales. Sorry. Love that movie.
Automated Joy says, does Spock think the angel is Michael?
I don't think he knows because he didn't know the identity.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
So
but,
Becky says timeline reset coming.
I don't know.
I don't. I don't mind it too much, but when they say like timeline, somebody from the future, all this stuff, I'm just like, oh my gosh! Like sometimes I feel like we do that a little too much in Star Trek, and again, like in Enterprise, like
PTSD flashbacks to future guy from Enterprise.
Exactly. But, well, I guess that's it for the night. But there's other episodes of The Edge coming out this week, and Brandi will tell you about those here shortly. So if we didn't cover something, it's coming up, and make sure to go in the Babel conference. There's a post on there for this episode of Discovery, and it's for our episode called Postcards from the Edge, where Amy will read your comments. So if we didn't cover it here, put your comments in there. They'll cover it on that show. So before we go real quick and say where you can find us online and everything, I want to know what everybody's ratings are in the chat and here on the show. So Brandon, why did I go to Brandon? Brandon, where are you? So, Dan, since you're the guest on the show, why don't you go first?
I absolutely love this episode. I just, I don't like the immediacy effect. Like, I like to kind of think like, oh, maybe I won't like this as much if I let it sit with it. This one, I just unashamedly absolutely loved. I'd have to give it 5 out of 5 beards that I think are actually really working for Spock.
Great. Okay, Brandi.
Well, funnily enough, there is a progressive rock band, or as I like to say it, prog rock band called Spock's Beard.
Is there really?
There really, really is.
Before
and I actually
this
like
season?
them. Oh yeah. They've been around for years.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. I got CDs from them back when Media Play and all of those record stores were still open.
Yeah.
So that they've been around for quite some time. But I also unapologetically loved this episode. There was, again, the crying, and there was the wonderful put back together Spock that just blew me away and made me cry for joy. So I would give it 11 singing plants out of 10.
Wow. Nice.
Wow. Well, you liked it better than your husband. He gave it 3 out of 5 singing flowers. Look in there. See that? Look at all those reviews. So I'll just echo real quick. I give this like 10 out of 10 attacking probes. I mean, I love this episode.
Oh, that's a scary rating.
And it looks like a lot of the people in the chat are at almost 100%, if not very close, except for David Dracula. I want to know more why he's against that. Why only 3 out of 5? Interesting.
We'll have a talk later. Don't worry.
I'm sure. Next week we'll ask him again. You will change his mind, I'm sure.
No, the thing is that we don't always like the same things the same way. I mean, we like the same things, but sometimes he likes something way more than I do and vice versa. So, he says it's because there was too much reliance on the original series. I disagree, but
I love it, but at the same time, I don't want it to always be like this. For right now, I'll take this, but I don't want the rest of Discovery to always be reflecting TOS. So I do agree with him on that. It can get to be too much. Right now, I'm fine with it, but I don't want to get to season 5 and it's like, wow, every episode, every season of Discovery is playing off of something from TOS. Like, they have to stand on their own at some point.
No, well, I agree with
the
that,
original ideas and stories. Yeah.
I agree with that, but at the same time, did you honestly think that we would have Pike for an entire season and not reference what happened on Talos 4 or go back to Talos 4 for some reason? Because I expected that from the first. So I'm surprised it took them this long to get there, but I like how they interwove it with what Spock is going through. So it made sense to me.
It makes sense.
It just, it didn't bother me.
I didn't expect they would go to Talos 4. I
totally did.
I just didn't. I didn't think I thought maybe it might be referenced or something, but I didn't think they'd go back.
Yeah.
I have a group of friends that we get together usually on Saturday night to watch Discovery, and I messaged them all today and said, go into Netflix, go to Star Trek The Original Series, find The Cage, and watch it. And some of them already had before, but a few have never, and I'm just like, I think it's required. Like, I think, the previously on is good, but I think if you really want to get the full, whammy of this, if you're not a big, huge Star Trek fan, you should at least go watch The Cage. And, for better or worse, I think it's almost needed.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Well, Dan, when somebody wants to talk about The Cage with you, where can they find you?
Well, I'm always up for talking about The Cage because I love The Cage. You can find me on Twitter. I'm at Kertrats. That's Kertrats. I have a YouTube channel, Kertrats Productions, talking about Star Trek all the time. Of course, I'm with Bruce on Literary Treks here on the Trek FM network. And you can also find me on Facebook in the Babel Conference and on facebook.com/Kertrats Productions. And Instagram, Kertrats47 if you want.
Yay.
Why not?
Why not? Why not? So, Brandi, do you want to tell people where you are, or do you want to do that later and just go into your closing montage?
No, I'll be really, really quick. Yes, guys, I am the Red Angel and the Dark Angel. The people in the text will know what that means. So, you can find me obviously here. You can find me on Twitter at Brandi112. You can find me lurking in the Babel Conference, and you can find me on the Dark Corner podcast with the aforementioned Dave. We have a great time talking about nerd stuff, and, we're going to have a lot to talk about in our next podcast because we are seeing Captain Marvel tomorrow, guys. And you can find that at darkcornerpodcast.com. So, but Bruce, where can people figure out where you are?
Well, when I'm not reading what people are requesting the voice that you do for the closing, you can find me on Twitter at Admiral_Rex. That's Admiral and then the underline Rex. And you can find me, of course, on Literary Treks with Dan, as he mentioned. And you can find me doing the Star Wars Report podcast, talking about Star Wars Episode 9 coming and Galaxy's Edge coming to Disney. So a lot of cool stuff going on this year. And, of course, I'm always in the Babel Conference lurking around. So, Brandi, tell us about some things going on here on the network.
All right. I keep switching about who I'm going to do. Am I going to do the harder one or the easier one?
What's the harder one and what's the easier one?
Well, you already know what the harder one was.
But they don't.
Said was more like, well, I'm not going to give them a choice. Because if I tell them the choice, then I can't do the other one later and have it be a surprise.
I think I like Liam Smart's suggestion of you clutching Pearl's voice.
Okay. Oh, you want that? That's like one of the easiest things I could possibly do. So
it's your choice. Just let us know what you're doing.
Okay. I think, I'm going to do this like Caddy Saru.
Nice.
All right. I get to sit back and just listen.
Yeah.
And watch.
Okay. Be sure to check out our Discovery coverage throughout the week. Live from the Edge airs on Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Our commentary will be available as Treks from the Edge, and we'll discuss your feedback on Postcards from the Edge. And you can catch the full analysis on the Edge main show. But join us for Notes from the Edge, with our own Chris Jones, for links between Discovery and the broader franchise. And you'll find all of these in the main feed for the Edge and in the Trek FM master feed. We'd love to hear your thoughts on Discovery. The best place to do that is the Babel Conference, our listeners group on Facebook, where Amy Nelson will collect your feedback for Postcards from the Edge. You can also find us on Twitter at TrekFM, or send us email using the contact form on our website at trek.fm/contact. Choose to send to a show and choose the Edge. We would like to thank our associate producers: Norman Seelau, Tony Robinson, Thomas Paleo, Lisa Slack, Shoab Mirza, Richard Rutledge, James Muldrow, Cornelia Reutner, Ryan Maylett, Chris Trabuzio, and Brian Malosh. If you'd like to help us keep all of these shows going and even become an AP, visit patreon.com/trekfm for all the details.
Wow. Can you do that for us on Literary Treks?
Anytime you want.
Excellent.
Oh, wow. There you go.
Oh, yes. You need to do the sassy Saru strut, according to Liam Smart.
I can't when I'm sitting.
I know. Come on, stand up and do it. It's also, I also call it the George Jefferson from the Jeffersons.
Yeah, it's more fluid than the Jefferson.
It is.
So, but yeah, it's, and the thing is with Saru, you can't just do it and sit there. You have to have, he's always using his hands.
He is.
So, he's very expressive with his hands.
Yes.
Saru clutching his pearls.
I want clutching his pearls with his hands. I'd like to see him do magic tricks with his hands, too.
Oh, he would be excellent, absolutely excellent at prestidigitation.
He's like, look at the coin. Now watch it disappear. And then he has to explain to everybody what a coin is, because they don't have that in the 23rd century.
Oh, other cultures still have coins. Just
Pike knows what a bad penny is, apparently.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes. All right, well, that does it. We'll be here again next Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific on the YouTube channel for Trek FM. So join us then. So, Dan, thank you for joining us, as always.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for having me, and say goodbye, Brandi.
Goodbye, Brandi. But you gotta also live long and prosper.
Oh, live long and prosper.
And keep calm and boom on. Oh gosh, I did it again.
Don't worry, we can edit that out.
Disco on, keep calm and disco on. I'm so sorry.
There's no editing in this.
I know there's not. So, bye!
Bye, everyone.